And I remember reading one guy's comment about it, and he said, you know, when I'm driving in a Jaguar, I want to feel like James Bond. I don't want to feel like some black transsexual or whatever the hell they put in that commercial, right? If you come to me and you like this content, good. If you don't and you want me to change, well then fuck off. Really, fuck off. How many of you saw the new Jaguar rebranding? Yeah, yikes. It does not look very good. I don't feel like it doesn't suit them very well. And it seems like they kind of knelt, is that the word? They knelt to the times, right, in a way. And I recently had a conversation with my sister about this, and she was kind of talking to me about how all the pushback that's been happening and why they went that direction. And really, both of us were like, what were they thinking with this? Why did they do this? I'll put the logo up on the screen. But there's a lot of people who are giving pushback to it. And I was just thinking, there is something about the Jaguar logo of old that kind of elicits a certain kind of emotion. And I remember reading one guy's comment about it, and he said, when I'm driving in a Jaguar, I want to feel like James Bond. I don't want to feel like some black transsexual or whatever the hell they put in that commercial, right? And it was this kind of it is this kind of interesting phenomena that's happening where a lot of these companies are starting to shift away from almost their original intention of a product towards something new, something modern, something sleek, minimalist, optimizing refining all their logos and stuff. And all their cars too. That's another thing. Have you ever noticed how all the cars nowadays look exactly the same? They're all gray, drab looking colors, like SUV type or a truck, right? That's it. That's the only things that I see on the road. Anyways, that's not really the point of the video. Basically, I feel like there is this kind of tendency for people in modernity to throw away the old and spark up the new, right? We need to refresh. We need something new, right? And we see this a lot of times in media, most recently Star Wars, right? Has anybody seen that shit? That was really bad, but that was kind of the whole point of them doing that, was that they're trying to shed the old and bring in the new. And it was just terrible. And it was totally a slap in the face to anybody who likes Star Wars. And that's why I don't even really follow that shit anymore, because it's dog shit, right? And there's this kind of, I don't know where this mentality comes from, but it is a sickness. And I think that it is a complete betrayal of an individual and of a person and of the soul in some sense. Because when you think, like that guy said, when you think of Jaguar, what do you think of? You think of British, right? You think of James Bond, maybe. You think of kind of like a luxury car. Now, if Jaguar came out tomorrow and said, hey, we're rebranding and we're going to start making minivans and SUVs for average individuals, people are going to, and I don't know if they're doing that, but I think they're doing something, maybe making electric cars or something. But regardless, if they're going to start changing all of what they are, all of what Jaguar is, and getting rid of the past and coming out with something new, there's going to be people who are going to say, what the hell, man? There is a quality in being kind of a man against time, or being even a product against time. But in a way, a product is kind of like the soul of the creator of it, right? Put into it, right? And where it kind of, how it kind of came to be, how it settled in kind of the collective, in kind of society, that is what it is. Similarly, I think it was the 80s or so, they changed the Coke formula. I don't know if any people know this, if you're young, I don't know if you know, but they changed the Coke formula and they came out with new Coke. And that was such a big thing. It was such a crazy thing that they did. And some people liked it, but a lot of people didn't. And, even if it did taste better, let's say even a lot of people liked it better, I don't think that it would have stayed. I think that people would have been saying, man, I really miss the original Coke. Because there is something that you took away. There is something that is lost, right? There is the original intention and the original soul of that product that was so good for so many years that is gone. And many times when I think about myself or other people around me, people are constantly shifting, constantly changing, constantly trying to adapt. But I think this is like not the right way to go about it. I recently had an interaction on Twitter with someone, a streamer, and they were saying something about how it was a woman, and she was saying, I hate streaming, it's so frustrating. Yes, she said, I do one thing, and everybody, says to do this thing. And then I do that thing, and then everybody says to do this thing. I wear this, and people tell me to wear that. But I get more views doing that. And she said, I'm just getting so frustrated with it. And I said, listen, this is folly. This is a waste of time. Stop trying to cater to the whims of the unwashed masses. You need to just find your niche, settle in on what you think is the best you can do in the intention of what you want to do. Have a vision for what you want to do and stick to it. And say, if you come to me and you like this content, good. If you don't and you want me to change, well then fuck off. Really, fuck off. And this isn't to say that you can't improve or change or tweak things here and there. I'm not saying that. If your quality of your camera is really shit and people say, hey, your quality is really shit, or your mic or whatever, hey, maybe you need to upgrade that. Maybe you can change that, tweak a little things. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that people don't need to update a little bit with the times. But what I'm saying is, if you're a streamer, let's say you stream about movies, and that's what you got good at, and you started gaining a big following doing that. You gained 100,000 subscribers doing that. And you streamed your critique of movies, right? Now let's say one day that a handful of new people come in and they say, hey, you need to start reviewing video games. You start reviewing video games. It's almost like a betrayal of the original intent of what you wanted to do. And it is in some sense kind of it's you kind of kneeling down to the pressures of the crowd. And this is kind of the whole I sold out, I didn't sell out type crowd who talked about this, but it's kind of a similar concept. But there is some kind of metaphysical quality to a person, a product, a thing, right? In reality, right? That can stand through time. And there are things that we see from the 1800s that are still around. Right? Dr. Pepper, Coke, right? These products, right? Stuff like that. They're still around today. And they're the same, right? Relatively the same. I mean, obviously little tweaks here and there, right? But they're the same product essentially. And that in and of itself, I think people value. People find a lot of value in things that are old, right? An old bottle of wine from 1800s. There's a value that is placed upon its longevity. And how did it survive so long? Well, it stayed constant with the original intent of what it was, and it didn't comport to the times. The times comported to it because it was so good, and it was able to last through generations of people. The value placed on something that has been around a long time isn't because it was shifting every generation to fit the times. It was that the times rallied and shifted around it. And that is what brings something value, not being this flitty, fluid thing. If you liked today's video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps me out a ton, and I'll see you all next time.